Hi guys, this is going to be a video on my TT bike for the RTTC National Championship. So this weekend I've got the 25-mile National Champs in Manchester, close to Macclesfield, and then a few weeks after that I've got the 10-mile National Champs in Cambridge. So this is a bike that pretty much no changes to the bike going forward for the next few weeks, and yeah, show the setup I've got for it. This is a bike that I got at the end of last year. It's a Cervelo P3C. I believe it's a 2008. Could be wrong on that. And then I've got a Zip Super 9 disc, Zip 404 front wheel, rim brake. I believe they're roughly 2012, but can't really tell. Got 1123 cassette on there, Corsa speeds and latex and TPU inner tubes. And then I've also got these aero skewers that need a special key to tighten them up, but a bit more aero than a typical quick release. Got a set of use extensions with profile designed armrest and arm cups and an angled extension. So I think it's a roughly 25-degree angle that. It's an 11-speed Di2, so it's like the old Di2, and got this 76 mount. This is just a setup that I originally got from the guy. I haven't made a huge amount of upgrades in that respect. Brakes, got them actually angled inwards like this rather than typically down. Do find that's easier. Got a lot more space to rest your hands rather than like if you're reaching down there for your brake, you've not got much leverage, and you could a lot more easily slip, I'd say, especially without loads of tape on there. That's again something that was set up originally like that, and I've just kept with it. Yeah, tri-rig brakes. Done some things like switching out the pedals for look pedals and Dura-Race chain. Then lots of technical adjustments in terms of the geometry of the bike, but I'll get into that on the slideshow. But yeah, overall I've been very happy with the bike this season. I haven't felt like obviously it's not the greatest of TT bikes. Obviously people are on better bikes, but it's a lot of the way there, and it's I've definitely been able to improve, and I'm not being held back by my bike. Got some ideas of what changes I want to make next season, but going forward, but. I'm perfectly happy with the bike going into the Nationals in the coming weeks. Time for the slideshow and the nitty-gritty specifics of the bike. Yeah, this is the bike how I originally purchased it from the previous owner, so lots of changes from that setup. These are like the general specs of the bike that I ran over, so yeah, haven't really changed them around a lot, but it's just mainly been geometry changes. So for example, taking the stack height out, moving the saddle back, changing the pedals, changing the saddle height, that sort of thing. But the wheel set, the brakes, the group set, that's all the same. Bike came with 170mm cranks, changed that sort of thing around. But 58 front chain ring, that stayed the same. Changed the chain, really came with a KMC chain, and I ended up waxing that, and I've recently replaced that with Dura-Race chain as well. So yeah, a major change to the bike came from that cockpit, that front end of the bike. So yeah, changing around the geometry a lot with this. So like I mentioned, I got rid of that stack to completely cut it out basically, and that's just because of I felt with my build, like having the lower stack seemed to work better, even though conventionally nowadays you see guys with ridiculously high stacks. I don't know if that's because the base bars are lower than on my TT bike, so if I had a more modern TT bike, maybe I would have more of a stack. But it also just depends on like the length of your arms. If you've got really short arms, then you're typically gonna short bicep, that femur length, like you're gonna want to have it raised because it's harder for you to get lower. But for me, I guess I've got quite long arms, and having them close to perpendicular to my back, like I'd found that having a lower stack was the way to go. So yeah, but open to playing around with that. If I'd angled in the ski poles so that they're effectively touching at the shifters, so it's maybe a 10-degree angle before they're a lot straighter, and there was a gap here, but it just means my hands are touching, and moved the the arm pad cups as close together as possible, so they're touching as well. So it just means my arms are as close together as possible. It's like squeezing my shoulders down. Obviously, I can't change the width of my shoulders, but my elbows are touching now. So that gap being a triangle is smaller than if it was just a square, if that makes sense. Also change the reach, so move the ski poles back slightly. I am limited in this because it angles up here. I can't move them back any further than the straight length. Potentially going to flip, depending on adjustments for next season, I could flip the poles 180 degrees so that this is the end sticking up, so it's longer at the bottom and then peaks up at the end, wouldn't go as high. I thought I'd need to do that to make it UCI legal, but I think the bike is actually already close to UCI legal spec, actually. I also have been reducing the saddle height. Currently got 210 millimeters, which doesn't really mean anything to you, but yeah, just for my reference, so I'll probably want to get that lower if I change out the stack height in the pedals and the shoes that I'm using. Then I'd look to reduce the saddle, as that's kind of an aim of going. You get things with lower sack heights so that you can go to a lower saddle height that's hopefully a more aerodynamic position. Same reason for why you'd want to go to 165mm cranks. The typical rhetoric of go to lower cranks to open up the hip angle is kind of bullshit. Like that implies the hip angle was closed off to begin with. So if you've got an optimal hip angle that's there's no impingement in the hip, you've got an optimal pedaling, then if you go to lower cranks, then you need to lower the saddle height to go along with that, as to maintain that same hip angle at the top of the pedal stroke. So yeah, the benefit on the main benefit I see to the lower cranks is the ability to go to a lower saddle height. And so I started, the bike originally came with 170mm cranks. I got a set of 165mm cranks and played around with them. And then most recently I've actually got a mixed set of cranks. So I've got my left leg is slightly longer than my right leg, and I also see that I produce less power with the left leg, and it's mainly to try and see if I can bring that power balance into alignment. But I've got a 170mm crank on the left and the 165 on the right, and I haven't felt like any excess repetitive strain injuries type thing coming on after a couple months doing that. Obviously, I'm not riding the TT bike all the time, and I don't have it set up like that on my other bike at the moment. Something I'm planning on maybe doing during the off season, though. With this mixed cranks, I don't feel like there's excess impingement or closing off of the hip angle. It hasn't seemed to have affected me, and if I can bring that power up in the left leg by having the longer crank, then and bring that power balance into alignment, that would be the goal. And then I can go back to just having being normal and having the same length of cranks on each side. Yeah, like I was mentioning, I'm planning on potentially making this bike UCI legal for next season. Currently, I'm just competing in CTT races, so UCI is not an issue. But I'm looking to potentially hopefully do the British Cycling National Time Trial Championships next year, and that would require fitting the UCI jig. So yeah, this is like the UCI measurement guide, and I actually just had a look at all of remeasured everything, and I'm pretty sure it's kind of within spec at the moment. So obviously I'd have to put it I'd get it in the jig to see if it actually passes, and might have to make some adjustments, but I think there's actually room to make those adjustments. So if you don't know how the UCI works, so you basically have to get the more allowance that you see from this table, you have to have a saddle setback of greater than 50mm, which means the tip of the saddle is further than 5 centimeters behind the center of the bottom bracket. You see guys on doing TTs and they're all the way forward on their perched at the end of their saddle. That's the reason they haven't shunted the saddle forward is because of the UCI regulations, where they need to have the saddle set back to greater than 50mm. And at the start of the season, I just decided to stick with UCI reg and make it greater than 50 mil. So I typically perch a bit further forward on the saddle, like the pros tend to do, but it's not really an issue really, and I haven't felt the need to move the saddle forward, even though I am allowed to, and it wouldn't, because I'm not restrained by the UCI. Then you have some categories based on height. So with me being 187 centimeters, I'd be a category 2 height. So in terms of extension reach, it has to be less than 83 centimeters or 830 millimeters. And I measured mine; it's about 805, so pretty much perfect within the range of what you like, greater than the max you'd be allowed for the shorter guys, but within range for what I'm actually allowed to do. And then extension length, perfectly fine, greater than 180 millimeters. Then extension height is the main thing that I thought I'd be out of spec for, because of the angle I have the ski poles at. I thought it would be illegal, but I've measured it to be exactly 120 millimeters, which is pretty much bang on the limit. Obviously, my measurements could have been off, but I did it a couple of times and got the same result. So it's close to what's allowed. I don't know what they'd say on the jig if it was bang on 12, but I would have the opportunity to move the arm pads slightly further upwards, and I think that would reduce it to like 11.9 centimeters, where it would be within regulation. I assumed before doing these measurements today that I'm going to have to make loads of changes if I want to make the bike UCI legal for next season, but it's pretty much UCI legal as it is, I'd say, but it hasn't got a UCI sticker or anything, and I might send out an email to the organizer of the TT from this year to see what it would look like. Or actually, I know somebody who did the TT, so I'll have a message of him and see what he has to think about it. Right, the actual RTTC Nationals. Yeah, so got the 25 miler this weekend, which is going to be Sunday the 4th of August, and then the 10 miler is a few weeks after that, the 31st of August, Saturday. The 10 miler, Macclesfield. It's on a brand new course. It's only been run once a couple of weeks ago, and it's quite technical. Lots of it's relatively flat, not much hills, but one sharp hill. Hills aren't the issue. Road surface is mostly good, but some poorer sections. But there's quite a few roundabouts to navigate that could get congested, and that's going to be the main thing that you need to be watching out for. But overall, it looks like an okay course, so we'll just have to see. Whereas Cambridge is perfect. It's an out and back on a buttery smooth dual carriageway. I did a 25-mile TT on this course, and yeah, it's kind of the perfect course for it. So that should be a super fast time. Whereas Manchester, maybe not so much. So this is the spin data predictions for this weekend. So it's predicting me to come 15th. I'm hoping that top 10 is very realistic. Top 5 I'd be pretty happy with, and then top 3 is what I'm actually aiming for. You don't really aim for that with a TT. You just do the best performance you can on the day, and then the result is how you stack up against everyone else. But I don't see why I can't get a podium on the day. Like I'm peaking for the event. So I should do my best 25-mile performance ever, and that I'd hope that would be enough for a podium. But it also depends on how everyone else does on the day. Like, you just do your best time and then see how you stack up. So yeah, but looking forward to it regardless. Now the Cambridge course, it's also, even though it's a well-used course, carriageway, but this 10-mile course they haven't actually used it since 2018. I'm not sure why they've stopped using it. I think they potentially do a 10-miler starting from a different location on the course, but it should be a very fast one. It's very smooth dual carriageway, perfectly flat, a good turnaround. Even though I messed it up during my 25 and took the wrong exit, didn't go onto the slip road. So, but I'm glad I made that mistake during the 25 and not the actual nationals. So yeah, it should be on for sub 18 on if it's a decent day. Like sub 18 is the goal. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. That one's definitely going to be fast. A little bit of targets. These target times are based off my CDA and what power I'm hoping to be able to produce on the day. So it's kind of for a perfect course with perfect conditions. So Cambridge, not really the same for Manchester. Manchester, I'm predicted to do 52 minutes. I'm hoping sub 50 minutes it would be good. Sub 49 minutes would be fantastic. I'm just going to be staring, hoping, looking to see above 50k an hour, and if we're on for that and we're doing good power, then we're gravy. But yeah, but this is kind of like a prediction for like a perfect 25 miler or a perfect 10 miler, where I'd hope to be able to do 390 watts for 25 and 400 or 410 for a 10, and with my best CDA that I've been able to do so far, based on my estimates, a 0.18, and that would give me a 53k an hour average and a 54k an hour average for a low 45 or a high 17 minute for a 25 or a 10 mile TT respectively. That's with 25 mil course of speeds, 90 kilogram system weight. Latex, like I said, mentioned latex. I've got a latex tube in the rear tire, TPU race tube in the front tire, which is also extremely low rolling resistance. So you're not giving up much to a latex tube, but these have been pretty useful on the day for Cambridge. If it's a decent day, it's not stupidly windy or something or cold. I mean, it's not going to be cold. Yeah, I'm hoping sub 18. I did 17 at the weekend at Levens, and yeah, Cambridge is just as good a course really. Obviously, it's not got a net downhill, but it's smoother carriageway, and I'm hoping to be able to produce more power on the day, and it should be warmer. So yeah, sub 18 is definitely a goal, and so I'll just be looking to try and hit 54k an hour plus. Whereas for, like as I mentioned, for Manchester, this is not a realistic goal. This sort of power and CDA, but because of the course conditions, I wouldn't expect to go this fast. I'd look in more for like 49 minutes, maybe sub 49 on a fantastic day. Just my kit. This is kind of stuff I've been using all season, kind of changing it around a little bit and getting an idea of what works. But for the most part, it's stayed the same. So I bought a Rule 28. It's the roadway skin suit 1.0. So it's like it's a decent skin suit, but I don't think it fits me fantastically well as fitting around the shoulders and the back. I don't know if it's because of my build, but there's a lot of wrinkles there. So looking to probably get a better fitting skin suit. Met drone helmet, I think it's been good. Rule 28 aero socks, or if I'm not wearing overshoes. And what I did at the weekend is I just wore normal comfortable ankle socks, and the Spatswear socks, because I've worn aero socks and the overshoes before, but you have to get them both lined up really well. Also, that's like 2 layers, and I want to be maximizing my cooling, so I don't really want to be wearing both. So if I'm going to be going over socks with ankle socks, but no longer socks, just to increase the cooling really. But these are ribbed in the same way that these aero socks are ribbed, so there's streaky lines to increase turbulence around the leg. So the calf being a bluff body, you want to increase the turbulence like as the air hits it, but you've got that for these socks or these overshoes. Dorica lace-up shoes, they're carbon soles, so they're really stiff, and they're laces, so they're potentially more aero than the boas, but yeah, and look cleats, just because that's what I've been using. But yeah, got some good ideas of potential upgrades I want to make next season. So Tri-Rig Omega front brake. So the Tri-Rig brake I've got at the moment's already relatively aero, I guess. But the Omega one is definitely a more aero brake. So I'd look to get that. Look to get a better fitting skin suit. Rule 28, no pins. If it's a non-textured suit, then I'd look to get one of the underbras with the ribbed arms to again increase that turbulence for the bluff body. Aero valve cover, 62 front chain ring. I've got 58 at the moment, but might as well upgrade it to a 60. Get that better chainline efficiency. Going to the bigger front chainring isn't for the bigger gear. Like, I don't spin out with the 58 or anything. It's mainly for the increased efficiency, and you're more likely to spend time in the middle of the cassette with that improved chainline. As let's say you're 58 14. Now you're doing a 60 15, and you're one gear further up, and you've got that improved chainline. Specialized lace-up shoes, like I said, I've got these DHB ones at the moment, but the stack height on them is really high, and I'm keeping with them for the season. But yeah, I'd rather get to a lower stack height shoe, and also move to speed play pedals, which are used for their low stack height. So use both of those tools to get the stack height lower. And then therefore I can lower my saddle and hopefully improve the profile of my body to be more aero. If that's the case, then so I've currently got mixed cranks with a 170mm on the left with a 4-eyes power meter and a 165 on the right. If I can bring my power balance into alignment, I'd ideally have 165 on both sides. If I was doing that, then and on speed play pedals, then I wouldn't have a power meter. If I want to move back to the 165 on the left, I can use my Favero Asioma at the moment, but that's using the look system. But if I move to the speed play, then I'd have no power meter, so I'd potentially look to get a 165mm 4-eyes power meter. I don't know if the 4-eyes are necessarily the best power meters, but it's something. And I'm kind of caring less and less about power during my competition. Like, I'm so much more focused on speed, and power is just like a secondary thing, just to see see the power checks out, see the heart rate checks out, and I'm more focused on the speed really, and RPE, and like just checking the power's good. So yes, I mean I somewhat trust my 4-eyes, but I also take it with a grain of salt, like with everything. Yeah, then these last ones are probably the most unrealistic upgrades. I doubt I'd splash out all this money to do these changes that could be. I see them potentially being like net neutral, like not making much of a difference. So new helmets, you don't know if the helmet's going to be better or worse for you unless you actually test it in a wind tunnel. And yeah, I'm not going to be doing that, am I? New wheel set, again, minor, but it's a bit of guesswork there. Handlebar and stem, cockpit setup, like potentially, but you're throwing a lot of money and it could have no tangible increase in performance. So not sure about those ones, but definitely want to do the stuff to reduce my stack height with the speed play pedals and get a better fitting skin suit for next season. As I think those are definite upgrades I can make that should make me faster on the bike. So yeah, that's a rundown of my TT bike and potential upgrades I want to make for next year. So yeah, hope you enjoyed.